What you're about to see isn't just another political victory, it's a complete restructuring of power in Washington. A federal judge has just handed President Trump unprecedented authority to freeze federal funding without district court approval. Now, why would this make the establishment panic? Well, simple. For decades, they've used the courts as a weapon to maintain their grip on your tax dollars, but tonight that all changes. We've obtained exclusive details about how this ruling is already sending shockwaves through the bureaucracy. The evidence we're about to show you, well, let's just say some people in D.C. might want to start updating their resumes. And as we step into 2025, one thing is clear, de-dollarization is not stopping. It's accelerating. China and other BRICS nations are scared of President Trump, and it's making them even more determined to reduce their dependence on the United States dollar and establish themselves as global economic superpowers. Their secret weapon, gold. In fact, China resumed buying gold. And you know what's even more telling? They underreported their buys. Doesn't it make you wonder why? Visit nextnewsgold.com and learn more. And with a qualified account, receive 10 1-ounce silver American Eagle coins at nextnewsgold.com. Or you can call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Okay, President Trump in the Oval Office, just a block from where I'm sitting. He went right into the Department of Education. It is a big con job. We've got a lot to unpack in this segment tonight. The president is on a warpath, but he's doing it for the people. We voted for this. We wanted this change. We wanted the radical change, and the Band-Aid is being ripped off. It is being ripped off so fast, and some people, well, they just can't handle it. Let's listen in to what happened moments ago at the Oval Office.
Look, the Department of Education's a big con job. We're ranked, so they rank the top 40 countries in the world. We're ranked number 40th, but we're ranked number one in one department, costs per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world, but we're ranked number 40. We've been between 38 and 40. The last time I looked, it was 38. And then I looked 2 days ago, it came out the new list. It came out at number 40. So we're ranked 40. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, I hate to say it, China, as big as it is, it's ranked in the top 5. And that's a primary competitor. We're ranked number 40. So if we're ranked number 40, that means something's really wrong, right? And I say send it back to Iowa, to Idaho, to Colorado. Send it back to places that, and there are a lot of Indiana. You have a great new governor. You have a great senator that Jim Banks just got elected. You got great people. I'll tell you what, Indiana is going to be fantastic. We probably have 35, maybe 37 states that will do as well as Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden. They'll be just as good. Then you have the ones that we all know about. It'll be the same story. But you know what? Even they will be good. Because you look at New York, you give it to Westchester County, you give it to Long Island, you give it to Nassau County, you give it to Suffolk County. Same thing you go out to, and you give it to upstate New York. So you'd have 4 or 5 sections. You give it to Manhattan. Manhattan's a little bit tougher for some reason. I don't know why it would be tougher, but it is. You give to California, and you go to various areas outside of Los Angeles, and you might have 6 or 7 different subgroups. But generally, like if you go to Iowa, you give it to Iowa. You don't have subgroups, you have Iowa. And other places that do a good job. If they do a good job, they're going to do a great job in education. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job.
It's a big con job. President Trump is not messing around. He wants to give the money to the states directly and bypass the Department of Education altogether. I mean, what does the Department of Education even do? What is its function, right? It just serves the unions. Here's more.
So we spend it, yeah.
So how soon do you want the Department of Education to be closed?
Oh, I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job. We're ranked, so they rank the top 40 countries in the world. We're ranked number 40th, but we're ranked number.
He wants it closed immediately, and then he's got this. President Trump, you get nothing. You get nothing to North Carolina, and then they send $59 million to New York City for hotel migrants.
Going to North Carolina because there's a massive fraud that's taken place. And then you have judges that are activists, and they sit there and they say, oh, as an example, $59 million going to a little small group in New York City. You get nothing going to North Carolina to help nothing. They say we don't have any money because they've given it away on the border. But you have nothing. What they did to North Carolina is a shame. And then they sent $59 million to New York City for a hotel for a little bit of nothing. What they've done, a hotel that was not luxury, that's getting luxury rates for migrants, where they're making a fortune, and we catch them. But a judge says, well, even though it may be a fraud, you have to send the money in anyway. Send the money. I said, wait a minute. We have money that shouldn't go because we caught it before it was sent out, but they want the money to go anyway. And I think you're going to have a lot of things to look at, Pam. I really.
He's talking to Pam Bondi right there. And of course, the $59 million was directed to the migrant facilities in New York City. And it was FEMA. And those FEMA officials have since been fired. Isn't that a good thing? And then we've got this coming in as well. President Trump's going to talk about reciprocal tariffs. This is like a really old law that's still on the books, and President Trump's dusting it off.
Even weaker, we'll be signing reciprocal tariffs. The world has taken advantage of the United States for many years. They've charged us massive tariffs that we haven't charged them. And as you know, I just did something on steel and aluminum, 25%. And that'll go up at some point, but 25%, which will level the playing field quite a bit. I did it previously 50%, and Obama was very weak, and Biden was even weaker on steel. The steel was just absolutely, it really started with Obama. The world really took advantage of us, and then that morphed into Biden. And what they did was he was so worried about trying to attack his political opponent that he didn't know what he was doing with respect to countries taking advantage. He should have looked at the countries, both friend and foe, taking advantage of us. So we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs, which is whatever they charge, we charge, very simply.
We're not going to take it anymore, man. This is good. You guys want a war? We're going to make a trade war, and we have the law at our back. Okay, we've got this. President Trump on bringing Marc Fogle home from Russia. This was a beautiful moment. It took place last night. Now he's making his remarks in the press room today. If you follow us on X, I posted a clip from we've got we're going to have this later in the show, but there was a moment in the press room. 3 words were uttered you'd never hear from the Biden press room. But let's get into the Oval Office now.
Yeah. Just like the young gentleman that I brought home yesterday after 2 weeks. We worked on it for 2 weeks. He was a fine man, and he was in there for 3.5, almost 4 years. And
you know what? 4 years. 4 years this guy was rotting in a Russian prison. Why? During the entire Biden administration? And suddenly President Trump's in office for a few weeks, and he closes the deal, gets this guy home. I mean, what were they doing over there in that administration for so long? Oh, I'm sorry. They were counting ice cream scoops and applesauce and nap time.
They weren't able to do a thing, and I got them out. And as you know, I didn't pay $6 billion. I didn't pay anything. We did a trade. And we did a good job. We got him out in 2 weeks. It should have been out years ago. Just like
was it a trade? I hope. What was the trade for, Mr. President? Please, could you tell us? I hope it wasn't for anybody like Brittany Griner. And then we've got this, Marc Fogle. Here's the moment. Marc Fogle, wrongfully detained in Russia since 2021, speaks out at the White House. His first words back on American soil. Look at him. He has got the American flag wrapped around him, and he's just happy to be home. He's right there with the president.
Like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes. the senators and representatives that passed legislation in my honor to get me home are the heroes. I am in awe of what they all did. My family has been a force. I think my 95-year-old mother is probably the most dynamic 95-year-old on earth right now. And I am so indebted to so many people. I think I remember a Churchill quote that he said when the RAF was fighting the Luftwaffe, and he said that never have so many owed so much to so few. And I put myself, fortunately and unfortunately, into that category. And I said, never has one owed so much to so many, that this superorganism of people that came to my support and the love that I was given sustained me for 3.5 years in a prison that had me in hospitals for more than 100 days. I was given more than 400 injections in that time. And knowing I had the support of my fellow Pennsylvanians, my family, my friends, it was so overwhelming that it brought me to my knees and it brought me to tears. But it was my energy, it was my being that kept me going that whole time. And I will forever be indebted.
Wow.
President Trump, to Steve over there. What a dynamic man this guy is.
That's true.
And when I met him, the energy, the can-do attitude just exudes from his body. And when he smiled at me and introduced me, and I got the feel for what has happened, you know, it's not just me, it's everybody. And Secretary Rubio, who met my son a while back, I'm a middle-class school teacher who's now in a dream world.
He is in a dream world, and so are we, as we just continue to rack up the wins. And speaking of wins here is J.D. Vance just 6 hours ago, and the second family visiting the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Quite a beautiful place. I've never been there, but here we have the second family. Of course, J.D. Vance was in Europe for the AI summit, which we're going to continue to track. We also have President Donald Trump. What? Okay, we talked about this the other day, but now it's finally happened. President Donald J. Trump has been unanimously elected chairman of the Kennedy Center Board of Trustees. Unanimously elected. President Donald, this was a post on Truth Social. President Trump was just unanimously elected chairman of the board of the prestigious Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. The president stated, "It's a great honor to be the chairman of the Kennedy Center, especially with this amazing board of trustees. We will make Kennedy Center a very special and exciting place." Yeah, it's not going to be run by a bunch of lunatics anymore. Natalie Winters here talking about the NGOs. Yeah, the ones that are screaming right now because USAID basically just got shut down. Well, she says they're a conduit for treason. Bureaucrats aren't all civil servants. They're deep state embeds. Now we're seeing how judges are not defenders of the Constitution. They're radical activists and legal hatchet men for the political class. This was on Real America's Voice. Let's listen.
You don't have to answer to more conceptually goes back to this idea, right? that the NGOs that were bankrolling, they're not actually NGOs. They're traitors and they're organizations that are being used to destroy this country. Bureaucrats are not bureaucrats. They're embeds. Schools are not schools, right? They're indoctrination grounds. And in the same way, I think the brilliance of President Trump is he can sort of unmask and reveal the radicalism and politicization of every aspect of American society, though I guess it's not really politicization. It's just the embedding of the deep state and the idea that these courts, whether it's the kind of impeachment witnesses, that they don't have to answer to President Trump. And just because they don't like his approach to politics, therefore they are justified to engage in sort of outside the system change, which I think if you get to the core of what Norm Eisen is talking about, the idea of these color revolutions, it to its core is a movement that fundamentally rejects election results. And in the same way, all of these judges, right, are essentially doing that because they just don't like the policies of President Trump. And yeah, what he said in those clips are absolutely radical, and it's not just supposed to be a gotcha moment, but it just shows you that judges like him are using their courts, their power, and their influence not to reflect anything constitutional, but to take out their woefully misguided, truly radical ideologies on this country. And after the break, if we still have time, we can get into who's exactly doing the court shopping, the groups that are behind this, because as you can probably imagine, it all goes back to the lawfare that we've seen over the last 4 years, too.
It's all connected. There's no question about it. Radical activist judges working in the background to try to shut down President Trump, but he keeps winning. That's right. The President Trump cat turd writes, the wins keep coming. Trump has secured the release of an American held in Belarus. Bring them all home. CNN even forced to report the good news.
States envoy. More breaking news into CNN right now. The White House is announcing the release of another detained American. I want to go now to Kara McDonald, the ambassador to Lithuania, who is with Chris Smith, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Eastern European Affairs. And we're also joined by Adam Bowler, the United States envoy for hostages.
Okay, thank you for that, CNN. We can only stomach so much from you guys, but we love watching you report all of Trump's wins. Democrats are big mad. Mags is reporting that, quote tweeting Charlie Kirk, breaking a federal judge has ruled that President Trump does, in fact, have constitutional authority to freeze or limit certain federal funding. This means that the Trump White House can withhold funding without the district court's prior approval.
And disperse the monies that. So clarifying that the government can limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes, regulations, and terms. Essentially, yes, the government can do so in complying with regulations, and then that the previous order does not bar both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, meaning, again, they can disperse the monies that they were allocated within the law, within the confines of the law, and that the government does not have to seek preclearance from the courts on terminating funding as long as they have the authority to do it as governed by the applicable statutory, regulatory, or grant terms. So essentially, the court is confirming what the Trump administration has maintained and what common sense can project, which is that within the confines of regulatory and normal authority, of course, you can do what you want with your own money, and you don't need a court's approval to do so.
Yep,
That's right. President Trump racking up the wins. We have even more to get to tonight as we sit just a block away from the White House. This guy apparently gets it. Here's Carly Bonet.
For Trump, he is looking for fair trade, not free trade. Fair trade, in his mind, and he said it many times, is if American market is open, then he expects other countries to open their market. China's market has to be open for American products. This is the crucial thing for him. Now,
President Trump is opening up the world. And now we have MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell says Elon Musk humiliated Trump in the Oval Office. Remember that report from yesterday? Elon Musk just going right into the Oval Office and laying it all out for the American people in just layman's terms so we can all understand it, exactly what's happening behind closed doors, behind the curtain, okay? And, they're big mad over there at MSNBC. They want to attack the messenger, but they never talk about the actual message. And this is Simon Ateba, who posted this, that Lawrence O'Donnell says Elon Musk humiliated Trump in the Oval Office, calling it the most powerless image of a U.S. president ever. You guys can cry all you want, okay? But the American people voted for this.
Watch this. When Elon Musk began speaking, I'm going to put this on the screen, full screen, not because it matters what Elon Musk was saying, but because it reveals the essence of Donald Trump and it reveals the power of Elon Musk. When the president speaks in the Oval Office, no one else does, except today. Elon Musk interrupted Donald Trump when Donald Trump was speaking, and Elon Musk's 4-year-old child spoke while Donald Trump was speaking. And nothing.
Did anyone out there ever had a 4-year-old child interrupt something? Yeah, do you think the 4-year-old child understands the magnitude of the office that they're sitting in? No. All right. And it's, of course, a 4-year-old is going to interrupt something. Lawrence O'Donnell. Maybe he's sterile.
Could demonstrate the power of Elon Musk more than his child speaking while Donald Trump was speaking. There's something important in what happened when Elon Musk's 4-year-old child actually moved toward Donald Trump. Watch this. Donald Trump did what no president before him would have done with that child. Here it is.
Wait. Did Donald Trump reach down and sniff him? Is that what he did? Oh, I can't wait to see what happened here. It's got to be a sniff.
Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, if you say what is the goal of Doge and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we'd have to, if you sorry. So I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
What happened there?
The child actually moves toward Donald Trump, saying something to him. And Donald Trump turns away.
What?
And you watch the child back off, knowing what just happened.
What? I think I heard the child say, I have to go pee. All right, let's see. Let's listen. Okay. Let's see.
Demonstrate the power of Elon Musk more.
What happened? What's this guy talking
than his child speaking while Donald Trump was speaking. There's something important in what happened. Actually, Trump did.
Significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we'd have to. If you
he actually looked.
Sorry.
Trump looked at the child, patted him on the back, didn't do anything that Lawrence O'Donnell claims.
So I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
And Trump is grinning. Trump is grinning. He sees it. He's a small child. He's delighted.
He moves toward Donald Trump, saying something to him. And Donald Trump turns away. Can you see this guy lying right to your face? He is lying right to your face. My eyes saw something completely different. But that's why nobody trusts MSNBC anymore. Okay, Lawrence O'Donnell, your days are numbered. And we'll be in the White House tomorrow, so you can just eat it. Okay, so Adam Schiff, he's freaking out too. Not just the folks over at MSNBC. Adam Schiff is very terrified about Kash Patel's confirmation. Let's listen to Kash's Corner. Here's Juanita Broderick posting this about 24 hours ago.
Spread a false. Adam Schiff, the single most person who is responsible for spreading disinformation on Russiagate, saying he had evidence Donald Trump colluded with Russia, saying the intelligence community had all this information, and then going out to the mainstream media and feeding them these lies because they were in bed with him to spread a false narrative for 4 years and bamboozle the world into believing that Russiagate actually happened and Donald Trump conspired with Russia. It was a total falsehood. Adam Schiff knew it at the time. I was running the Russiagate investigation. He was the leader of the minority on the House Intel Committee. Devin Nunes was then chairman. He had access to all the information we had access to. The transcripts are the best example. The 60 some odd transcripts that I took at depositions of of cabinet secretaries, intel officials, DOJ, FBI, Fusion GPS, all the like. We finally forced those deposition transcripts to light, and what did they show? The headline, Adam Schiff knew the entire time there was no factual basis to perpetuate the Russiagate narrative. So when a guy like that issues this tweet, I just think America should pause and say, the King Kong of disinformation is now coming up and saying he's all of a sudden scared that Twitter is going to be the landing ground for disinformation, when you and I have been talking about it, rightly so, over the last few years. Twitter has been the ground where people spread defamation, where people attack others mercilessly. And Twitter's hypocrisy on who they let on their platform and who they kick out has been on full display for years. They've suspended folks like, obviously, President Trump, Babylon Bee, and all these other journalists who were actually doing fact-based reporting because they had the audacity to say, Adam.
Obviously, that was recorded prior to Elon Musk's acquisition of X. But that just goes to show you the magnitude of the lies from Adam Schiff, because Kash Patel, he knows it, he sees it, and he is about to be confirmed. But look, Adam Schiff, he's got the pardon, so I don't think that there's anything that can really be done. Let's take a look back at this. This is another angle of when Marc Fogle entered into the White House with President Trump after being freed. Beautiful moment here. And then we have this. Insurrection Barbie posting this 24 hours ago. This is true. It's an illness, and I hope they get better soon. What's this about? Hypnosis?
Women. He's against freedom for women. If you hate President Trump, everything he does, you are going to filter for why it's evil at your own cost. No matter how much information, he hates all women. Half of his cabinet is women. He's against freedom for women. How the fuck is this first appointment was a woman, right? So then it's funny to explain that. Well, she's not really a woman. She doesn't really value. To make it make sense, you have to continue to spin this story of what you think what women are, which is fascinating. So going back to the question, I just stay curious. If that's true, then why this? And if there's a lot of derangement, they'll have a story. It'll probably sound batshit crazy to somebody who's conscious and logical, but they'll have a story of why it makes sense. Because how we see something is more important to us than truth.
I love it, man. That was beautiful. Yeah, President Trump just blazing a trail, breaking every single narrative, every moment. But we do have this. This happened just 10 hours ago. Oh, rapid response 47 posting. In addition to being corrupt, the swamp is also incredibly cringe. Yeah, they were outside, I believe, the Department of Education or some bureaucracy that's about to get shut down by President Trump. This is what they did.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against George. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you
I mean, they did that pretty damn good, wouldn't you say? I mean, they must have rehearsed that. I mean, I could see them in some kind of a facility, and they're all like, "Okay, guys, these are the new lyrics for the anti-Doge song, and we're gonna sway and we're gonna sing this." And oh, man. They just look like fools every day. They just continue to look like fools. All Donald Trump and Elon are doing is they're trying to clean up all of the waste, fraud, and abuse, which is a talking point of the left and the right for years. And the minute that they uncover it and expose, how many billions of condoms are being airdropped over Gaza, is the minute they freak out, right? Everyone's gonna die. You's the people gonna die. Yeah. Okay. Here's Carly Bonet. It looks like a clip from Donald Trump Jr. and his daughter in a golf cart, and she's reflecting about her grandfather, Donald Trump.
An hour before I start my day, like the guy after
Grandpa hardly sleeps.
Yeah, he's a whole different animal. Like I mean, during the end of the campaign, when I watched a 78-year-old man do 2 all-nighters in a row, and then like I'm dying. We're on the plane coming back, and he puts on music, and he's doing like Trump DJ night. I'm like, I just want to go to bed. Like, what is going on? And I go home to shower before I start my day, and I'm looking, and like the guy after 2 all-nighters goes right on like national television, like morning shows, like where it matters. It's like he's a hard worker. It's next level. He's a hard worker.
He's a hard worker. It's crazy for like what he does and his age. I think it's crazy.
Well, he is working for the American people because there is a lot of work that needs to be done. Here we have rapid response at 47. More from them just 10 hours ago. Marc from Ohio. President Trump, look at what he's done in the first 3 weeks of office.
Guy's 78.
And so Marc from Ohio calling into the Washington Journal on C-SPAN.
President Trump, look what he's done in the first 3 weeks of his office. I mean, it's unreal. I'm 69 years old. I've never seen anybody move so quick. The guy's 78. He gets 3 hours of sleep at night. And he's better than the Energizer Bunny. Look what he's done. He's got the gentleman freed from Russia just last night.
Yep, just last night, more history was made, and as I'm getting more acclimated with like the White House schedule and decorum at the White House, I'm familiarizing myself with these things, and I just take a look at the terminology that they use for the press, full lead and partial lid and dinner lid and all these different things that they have, and then I look at the president's schedule, the schedule that's publicly listed. And I'm like, this guy is not sleeping. He's like, just from like every single hour of the day, he's doing something amazing. And I remember, during the Biden administration, all we had, like you'd always hear them like, well, they called a lid for Joe Biden at 11 a.m. He gets up, he has his applesauce and he has his diaper change, and then he goes to sleep, goes back to bed. And that was the whole Biden administration, because he had all of the Obama lackeys that were doing, all of the dirty work for Barack Obama's term. So it's amazing to witness as I get even more familiar with the White House activities, just how active and engaged that this man is at his age. Okay, here we have this. This is the special envoy, Steve. Now, this is the Steve individual that Marc Fogle was referring to in the Oval Office earlier in the segment.
Being held, and I can tell you that the president's direction to me was bring him home.
Steve Witkoff is his name, special envoy.
Do what you needed to do to bring him home. Bring him home to his family. And you can see, he stayed up last night to greet him personally.
Wow. Yep. See?
He walked him around, gave him a tour of the White House, brought him into the Lincoln Room. His message was, no one gets left behind. That was a message of hope to every American who's being held in a foreign jail.
This is amazing. So who delivered to you the final word once it was done? Who communicated to you it's happening? We'll do it.
I got a call that he was going to be at the airport. And from somebody. And I called the president. He was delighted. He said, get over there fast. I met Marc in the airport. We walked him onto the plane. We said to him, you're close to being in U.S. territory now. We had a de-ice, and we de-iced. We got in the air. We got out of Russian airspace. We called everybody back in the United States. He was doing a jig, called his whole family. And when we touched down at Andrews, I said, now you're on U.S. soil. And I think he began singing. So it was.
Yeah, I think we'd all be singing if we were in that position, but not like these people.
You on? Tell me, which side are you on?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Senior counsel, Real Peter Navarro, the ultimate goal is rising real wages for blue-collar Americans, a thriving middle class. Yes, folks, be careful what you see in the media. Oh, inflation! It hasn't changed. It's on fire right now. Donald Trump isn't doing anything to help with egg prices. He promised on day one, and what has he done? He's done nothing. Those are the fear tactics that they're going to continue to push. Don't fall for it. Okay, so these things do take time. And, it's like turning around the freaking Titanic, all right? There's the iceberg in front of us, and we got to make sure we don't hit it, okay? So it takes a long time to turn that ship around, okay? It's not going to happen overnight, but the economy will turn around. You just have to let President Trump's foreign policy, the tariffs, all the different moves, the big moves he's making on the global stage, you got to let them settle in. And then we're going to see like just prosperity like you've never seen. I mean, the optimism's already there. Everyone I talk to, they're like, yeah, I feel like a weight's been lifted. The world seems so much more optimistic right now. So don't believe the lies. That's why we're here. We're here to help you navigate through this maze of deception. And I really feel sad for all these people who fall for these lies. All you can do is pray for them. Sometimes I do get angry. My flesh takes over, and I get angry. I get frustrated. But I have to remember that these people are simply humans that have been deceived. And we just have to work with love and compassion and to help educate them as much as I love to anyway, here we go.
Is rising real wages for blue-collar Americans, a thriving middle class. We have a strong defense industrial base and manufacturing base for our economic security and our national security. And when we are in times of crisis, Mike, we aren't dangerously vulnerable to foreign nations for medicines or metals or anything in between. And the $1 trillion trade deficit, this is a big thing with President Donald John Trump. We run a $1 trillion trade deficit every year, as Warren Buffett, of all folks, has pointed out correctly. That's a transfer of assets to foreigners of $1 trillion every year that turns into purchases of land and things like that. We got to stop draining that problem. And so the end state is a much more robust and secure American economy,
Peter?
and I think a better world, because these imbalances aren't good for anybody.
But they will be good for America. So the question I really have for you is,
Are you on? We'll fight against George. We'll fight Elon Musk.
Oh, no.
Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk.
the cringe is real in the swamp. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have just witnessed is nothing short of historic. President Trump's new authority to freeze federal funding isn't just about money. It's about dismantling the very power structure that's been bleeding America dry for decades. The deep state's worst nightmare has become a reality. A president who can actually cut off their cash flow without jumping through their bureaucratic hoops. We are seeing real-time results with corrupt agencies already scrambling to justify their bloated budgets. Special Envoy Adam Boehler put it perfectly. It's happening now because the president leads through strength. So here's the question we want you to answer in the comments below. If President Trump can now freeze funding to corrupt agencies without court approval, which government department should he target next and why? Get your exclusive MAGA Avengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show the world that you stand with the truth.